And does
Can you hear me guys now?
You're all set, Kathy. I got you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. I got my second shot on Monday.
Yay!
And Tuesday I could not move.
I had mine last night, Kathy, and yeah, this afternoon I felt aches and chills, but they're gone now.
Oh, I couldn't move. I was totally exhausted.
That just means
But I'm
it's
better
kicking
this time.
That just means it's kicking in.
Better than the alternative.
Julie
Yes,
is on. If you want to make Julie a co-host, she can do
Yeah,
that.
can anyone?
Co-host.
You'll be the co-host, Julie?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can be the co-host.
All right.
He loves being co-host.
Oh, I love it.
Julie is our Zoom mistress of the Planning and Development Department.
All right. At least there's someone else that can help out. Appreciate it, guys.
No
Yeah,
problem.
give Ashley a break tonight.
Yeah. Her secret formula is she has your number, Ashley, if anything goes wrong.
Oh, I know. That's all. I'm just at home, so if you run into any issues, just shoot me a text.
Hold on.
And,
Bob Dunbar is calling me, so let me make sure that we're
Yep.
streaming.
And just to let you guys know that you are live on Channel 9
Uh-oh.
and on Facebook and YouTube. Okay?
All righty.
Okay, we're going on with the show?
Yeah, when you're ready, Mr. Chairman, you can open the
Okay.
meeting.
Could everyone who's not speaking, could they mute so we won't have any background noise? So the first order of business is going to be, we're going to open with a public hearing. Am I correct, Frank?
Well, I have to have roll call first, Mr. Chairman, so
Okay, let's call the
I'll
roll.
do that. Mr. Amico? You present?
Hi, Frank, present.
All right, thank you. I know Mr. Chirloni,
I'm here.
Mr. Del Vecchio,
You have to remember to unmute Anthony when you speak.
Can you hear me?
yeah,
Frank, I got a meeting at 6:30. I can only stay in the meeting until 6:30 tonight.
that's fine.
Thanks.
Okay. Mr. Desimone,
Here.
Mr. DeVoe,
Here.
Mr. Giovanni is absent. Mr. Jaramillo? Jaramillo is absent for now. I'm sure he'll be coming in. Mr. O'Brien, Jim O'Brien. Yes,
He's in Aruba.
he's in Aruba, okay. And Mrs. Penn,
Here.
here. Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Do you want to improve the minutes of last week, the last meeting?
Excuse me, Kathy. Do we have a quorum, Frank?
Yes, we do.
So we're going to have this public hearing is called on the Riverfront Overlay District. Frank, do you want to fill us in on this?
Yeah, I'll give a preview to the planning board. As you know, the planning board 2 weeks ago approved the Riverfront Master Plan unanimously, and this is an integral part of the Riverfront Master Plan. And it's the area that includes the G&J
Excuse me,
tow
Frank.
yard.
Excuse me, Frank. Could everyone please mute their microphone if they're not speaking? Thank you, Frank. Take the floor, please.
Yes, it's the area that includes the G&J tow yard in the Mirage site along the Pines River, Saugus River. It's located between Gibson Park is to the south and Route 1A and General Edwards Bridge is to the north. You should have all received a boundary map in your packet outlining the Riverfront District. So this zoning overlay district is really intended to allow really for the kind of positive and productive redevelopment envisioned in the Riverfront Master Plan. As the overlay district is really an outgrowth of that plan. And its main objective is to really repurpose the area of the waterfront as public use and private use asset for Revere residents, encourage residential and economic development along this underutilized section of the Saugus and Pines River. The area now it's as you know, is zoned light industrial where G&J site was, and it was formerly the Fowler's Marina site. The other part of the site is where the Mirage is zoned general business, And that was the former Jacob's Ladder site. Those have been around back then. And going back many years, the lobster cabin was there. Now that's pretty relevant because in the Riverfront Master Plan, in this overlay district, we anticipate, we envision in the future a restaurant on that site. The district provides that use to bring it back to a waterfront restaurant. Basically, to really better redefine the area and activate the long neglected shoreline, it really has become necessary to provide incentives for redevelopment in a manner that really complements and enhances the area's riverfront assets for both public and private use. As you know, one of the main barriers to public access in the area has been the lack of accessible waterfront walkways and boardwalks due to the storage of materials and equipment along the riverbanks from the G&J site. This overlay district will serve as a catalyst to remove these barriers, restore the riverfront to its natural beauty, and activate the area with public amenities. Now, as part of the overlay district, there are dimensional requirements. Rather than go through them all, I just want to give you kind of a comparisons in terms of density, height, and open space. This overlay district has been structured to include provisions for larger open space requirements and less density than other overlay districts and mixed-use districts within the city. For instance, it places a cap of no more than 6 stories, places a more restrictive floor area ratio of 1.75 compared to floor area ratios of 3.0 and higher in other districts, and places a public open space requirement of 10%, where in most districts there is none. It also provides greater setbacks than the typical developments that exist along the beachfront and waterfront square. We try to make a comparison of a building scale that would be comparable to this district, what this district allows in terms of density and height. And you can look at the beach house in terms of that building scale and height, and that's about what you're looking at for the massing and scale of a building within the Riverfront Overlay District. Actually, the beach house is even larger in scale and density than would be allowed in the Riverfront Overlay District. The other section deals with uses. So the overlay district will prohibit industrial and commercial uses that are intrusive to the riverfront zone. You know, these uses are basically what exists there now, like towing operations and storage, contractor storage yards, warehouses, product distribution facilities, commercial garages, auto body shops, commercial parking lots and auto storage parking, truck rental offices, storage, class 1 and 2 automotive sales, fast food takeout, drive-through restaurants, car washes, and general manufacturing repair facilities. They're all prohibited uses within this new overlay district for obvious reasons. Now, uses that would be allowed include more uses that are more compatible to the area and more in harmony with the characteristics of the riverfront, you know, including mixed use, residential, restaurants, office, hotels, breweries, distilleries, brew pubs, that sort of thing, general retail, neighborhood retail, marinas, townhouses. We even allow for independent elderly housing and farmers markets and community gardens. With respect to parking, we become a little bit innovative with this new district. We placed a minimum parking ratio of not less than 1 space per unit for condominiums and apartments. This is basically just a baseline we used. And additional parking will be required by the site plan review committee if the market demand requires. This is being done because right now we're seeing parking ratios of less than 1 space per unit for those multifamily residential developments that already have occupied throughout the city and along the beachfront. And there are provisions in this ordinance for mechanical and automated parking systems, just in case that demand changes. Oh, in addition to developers will be required to provide transportation demand management measures. And these include requiring the cost of on-site parking within the resident leases, requiring on-site car sharing services such as Zipcar, requiring on-site covered and secured bicycle storage facilities, and requiring regular scheduled shuttle buses to and from Wonderland Station for residents. when you think of it, the bottom line is that no responsible developer will be able to market a residential building without providing the necessary on-site parking. And given the fact that there will be no on-street parking available to residents in this district, the developer must ensure that there is sufficient on-site resident and visitor parking available. So the planning department feels comfortable that given the current multifamily residential parking data and trends that we have, and they increasingly show less than one parking space per unit, that any residential development on the site will have the capacity to meet the parking demand required. And finally, one of the more important aspects of this overlay district is that we require a contribution into the Community Improvement Trust Fund in an amount equal to 1% of the total building construction costs. Now, all monies contributed to the Community Improvement Trust Fund for projects within this overlay district can only be used and expended on public open space and infrastructure improvement projects outlined in the Riverfront Master Plan. And these funds should go a long way in advancing some of those more important public improvements that will help recreate the Riverfront District as an active and attractive gateway to the city of Revere from the North Shore and beyond. So those are the basic elements of this overlay district. And like I said, it supplants the general business and light industrial district, which is the baseline zoning underneath it. And we had a public hearing before the city council on Monday night. The city council is awaiting the recommendation from the planning board. I believe their subcommittee will be meeting on March 8th. So tonight's planning board recommendation will be filed with their subcommittee. That's Perez. And that's basically it. I can answer any questions later on after all the proponents have been heard, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Frank. Does that conclude your portion of this?
It does for now,
Opening?
yes. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Frank. So we're going to open the public hearing, and we're going to hear from the proponents. I see David,
Chairman?
Elizabeth, and so
We have Mr. O'Brien, Mr. Chairman, have his
And-
hands raised.
okay, Robert.
Brian
Robert
has-
O'Brien, Director of the.
The other
Has his hand
O'Brien.
up.
Okay, Robert, go ahead, Bob.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Bob O'Brien. I live at 10 Ocean Avenue in Revere, and I'm the Chief of Planning and Development for the City of Revere. I'm here in enthusiastic support of the overlay district that Frank has just very skillfully and completely outlined. I might just say that we owe a great debt of appreciation to Frank for having crafted an overlay district, which not only provided the kinds of incentives that were necessary for the development that we're hoping to have occur there, but also provided the kind of community benefits that this ultimately was all about. And the addition of the Community Investment Trust Fund contribution, the first time that there will have been a contribution from a project that actually does conform to zoning, is a remarkable step forward. And I just want to compliment Frank for the very skillful and balanced way that he did this. Since we met with all of you on the 9th to go over the master plan itself, of which this is one important step in its implementation, I won't repeat all of the things I said about the master plan then. You obviously supported it unanimously, so I'll just accept that. I would add, however, that similar to the testimony before the planning board on the 9th, all of the public testimony that took place at the city council on Monday was all in favor. There was no opposition expressed. So I think it's fair to say that this plan and this overlay district has very broad support in the community, in large part because it was a transparent and participatory process in which the community, particularly Point of Pines community and Riverside, were very much involved. I would only note that we are approaching the implementation of the master plan on several fronts. This one is absolutely critical, but it is not the only strategy that we are undertaking simultaneously. We are looking at the potential purchase of the Riverside Boat Works by the city to allow for the development of a North Shore Maritime Center, which is a very important part of the master plan. We are working with DOT and with the developers on the design and funding of the required transportation improvements that are really fundamental to both the public and the private development that's going to take place here. We're moving ahead with the fire station, which is a very important part of the Riverfront District. And generally speaking, we're working with the Seaport Economic Council and other funding sources in the Commonwealth. The Seaport Economic Council funded the master planning process, and they have given every indication that they will fund important elements of the master plan itself. So this next step, this overlay district, is absolutely essential, but it is not the only strategy that we are pursuing simultaneously. We have to move on all of these fronts together. And as the mayor noted to the city council, the process we're following here is very similar to the process that was followed in the case of Suffolk Downs, including the overlay district. And as he noted, similar to Suffolk Downs, this is a transformative project. It really is a much more visible site in many respects for Revere, and it also can probably be undoubtedly be done much more quickly than Suffolk Downs. So the mayor identified this as a very important aspect of our strategy to improve the gateway. And I want to compliment everybody that was involved in this process, not least the developers themselves. Redgate has provided invaluable professional assistance in our study of the transportation and development aspects. And the development of this site is absolutely integral to the vision for the Riverfront District as a whole. There's a very good integration of public and private uses. And I think the master plan itself and this overlay district reflects that. And we would very much urge you to support it and make a favorable recommendation to the city council. I would just note, since all of the proponents were active in the city council, we have not felt the need, given the fact that you had heard the master plan in early August, to parade them all against for your edification. But I can assure you that all of the people who supported the master plan before the planning board and before the city council are also speaking in support of this overlay district. So we leave it to you, and I'm sure the city council is awaiting your recommendation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you for that. Would any other proponents wish to speak? Any other proponents wish to speak?
I might suggest Julie is particularly conversant on the transportation elements, and Julie, you might just want to mention that. I told you you probably wouldn't need to speak, but that is so
That's
fundamental,
okay.
you might just note that.
No, I think that this, the changes that will go in over the riverfront or the riverside, the riverfront, is really going to transform that end of the city. I think the transportation changes with the inclusion of a new ramp system of the route southbound side of Route 1A is really going to open up that area. It's going to help relieve a lot of the congestion that we see early in the morning and throughout the day. I think that also the other transportation initiatives like the shuttle bus and the demand policy on site for residents to get themselves back and forth to reduce the demand for cars is also going to be something that's it's probably going to be more in depth than we see in some of the other developments that we have here in the city. Also the extension of walking and biking paths, and also the additional infrastructure to get people to those paths from the Point of Pines, Riviera Beach Boulevard. And I think, what we also need to realize is that, to really transform that area, you need a combination of everything. You need a little residential development, you need open space, you need some sort of anchor that brings the community together, and that would definitely be with the community voting center. So all in all items of the project will be really transformative, as well as just, bring about a lot of value to the city and give our residents a lot of opportunity that they don't have now. Having greater access to the water, greater access to, and maybe try out boating. We can also expand our maritime economy with many years down the road, but you could run charters out of that, summer Sunset cruise charters or, fishing charters. So there's a lot of potential there, not just what we're talking about tonight. So I fully support this project and the zoning changes and that go with this.
Thank you, Julie. Is that all?
Anyone
Thank you
else?
very much. Thank you very much, Julie. Are there
Thank
any,
you.
are there any other proponents? Are there any other proponents? Hearing none, we'll close this side of the hearing and move to the opponents. Are there any opponents who would like to speak this evening? Any opponents? Hearing no opponents, I'm going to close. I'm going to close that portion of the public hearing, and I'm going to allow questions or comments from the members. And I'm going to start with Mr. Del Vecchio. Mr. Del Vecchio, who said he was going to have to leave in 5 or 10 minutes. Did you have any questions or any comments you'd like to make?
No,
Anthony?
I think it's a great idea. I think this is what we need.
Okay.
I think it's an armpit of Revere, and it'll definitely make it a better place.
Anthony, I wanted to make sure that you had your opportunity before you left to either speak or ask
Thank you.
questions. Yep, you're welcome, Anthony. Next, Mr. DeVoe, do you have any questions
Yeah, as usual, I have a couple. And just some more clarifications than anything else. When we talk about the overlay, and that's the red area on the map that was given to us, correct? That's the overlay district that we're referring to?
That's
That's
correct.
correct.
And if I remember right, in the last presentation at the last meeting, Bob O'Brien, I believe you kept referring to master plan, and I'm assuming you're talking about the master plan for this project, correct?
That is correct. The overlay district just focuses on the private redevelopment elements of the larger master plan, not including Riverside Boatworks. We're not changing the zoning on that at all for probably obvious reasons. So it's an integral part of the larger plan, but overlay districts are only relevant for private property.
Right. And that's kind of, the other area is kind of represented by that pink area within that map, correct?
I don't see it, but if that's the Riverside Boatworks, yes.
Yes, I believe it is.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
anticipating public ownership of that property, and its
All right,
inclusion
great.
is an expanded.
So all of this is defining uses within that red area. And I just had a couple of clarifications and things I just wanted to better understand, and forgive me, it's probably my lack of knowledge in these. But when, for example, in prohibited uses in D, it says automotive maintenance except as accessory to another permitted use. Can anybody, Frank or anybody, give me an example as where automotive maintenance within that area might be allowed, or what why we just don't say automotive maintenance permit, period?
Oh, that's a good question, Ed. I think if there were services as part of the residential development, such as car cleaning, washing, something like that, be related as an accessory to that area. Or if there was a car rental agency just for use for the occupants of that area of the overlay district, if they had a maintenance facility, that would be allowed as an accessory to that use.
Or
Frank,
car rental would be like a general retail or whatever.
There'd be a
permitted under one of
small-
those uses.
It would be a small office if there was a hotel there, or if it, or even with residentials or residential use or multifamily use.
if I may, just for 1 second, Frank, didn't you mention something about zip cars and other amenities like that? Wouldn't that come under that?
That would come under that also, car sharing.
I guess, yeah, I kind of understand that, and I guess when I'm thinking of this area and then kind of the permitted use, it seems to me, if I were recommending something, it would be recommending just say no automotive maintenance, period, because I understand if buildings maybe have a snow blower and they need to repair their snow blower within the building property, well, maybe that's part of the use, but I don't know how you limit that but okay, I understand it.
It becomes
the same thing
technical,
with-
Ed, that's why, with that.
Okay,
And
yeah, and
You
and
can't
trust
have
me,
a
it's not a
separate-
major issue.
You can't have a separate on its own automotive maintenance facility.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
That's
yeah,
what you're
yeah.
asking.
And it's not,
It's
I just
accessory.
wanted to understand. So the other big question I had was, one of the prohibited uses was lodging or rooming houses, yet an allowed use is hotels. Can you give me an example of the difference between the two? I mean, maybe it's scope and size, but,
Well, lodging and rooming houses are like single room occupancies for long term,
okay.
where a hotel is, what we'd be seeking
All right,
is
so it's
high-end hospitality there.
okay. If somebody wanted to open up a bed and breakfast or an inn there?
That's not specifically mentioned in here. That wouldn't be
I
allowed.
was just wondering if it came under one of those, because
No.
it seems to me, that there's opportunities as the place grows in prominence, and people like to come to places. Bed and breakfast may be useful. That's just a thought.
Yeah,
Excuse me, it sounds to me like there's not going to be it looks like it prohibits Airbnbs, right, as secondary leases.
Well,
yeah.
that's what I was trying to understand, but does it prohibit the use of a bed and breakfast? And, and I would think wouldn't want to do that.
Unless it's permanent, the same as a hotel would be, but
Okay.
that's only my guess.
Yeah.
Frank can answer that. Frank?
Yeah, I mean, if that came up, a bed and breakfast, we'd make provisions to allow something like that
Okay.
within
Yeah,
this.
I just didn't
Certainly
want to.
something that's not intrusive.
Okay, all right. So then the other one in the allowed uses, when we talk about grocery store or supermarket of any size, I mean, we talking like a market basket size?
No, they can't exceed 25,000 square feet.
Well, maybe we need to change that 11H rather to state that,
Yeah.
because it says any size, which seems to me leaves open a huge hole.
Yeah, but supermarkets are also considered general retail. So under J, we have general retail sales and services no more than 25,000 gross square feet.
All right, well, if it's restricted by J, then, okay. If
Ed, I
it's
might
restricted
also
by
add-
J, okay.
as a practical matter, the likelihood of anybody wanting to develop a supermarket where they don't have much more parking than is allowed here is practically zero.
No, understood, Bob, but I'm just saying that, it seemed to me to be somewhat of a hole, but hey, if you guys are comfortable with it, I am. Those are questions I had. You talked about the parking. I'm okay with that. And one had to do with the mechanical parking. And I think I understand some of the mechanical parking, but are these outdoor mechanical units, or are these units that are going to be indoors?
They would be indoors, Ed.
Okay.
They can only
Good.
be used they can only be within a garage.
Okay, great. And then the last one, I think it was in D, talked about, other developers, if this was sold to another developer or something like that. And I just wanted to understand that all of the stipulations in here are covered by anybody else who may come along and, if you will, end up owning the development rights of this property.
Yeah, that's typical standard language in an overlay district.
Okay,
As the buildings get developed, if they have to be subdivided, they can be and sold off. And we
But
don't
they
really
still have to
expect that
work-
within this overlay district. This is a smaller overlay district. That's typical language in a larger overlay district. So I
But
don't see
they-
it really being applicable here.
They
But-
would have
but I
to
guess my
observe all these
Excuse me.
restrictions.
Bob
that's what I
O'Brien.
wanted to understand. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
They
Bob
would have to,
O'Brien,
they
you
would
have
have
the floor.
to, thank you, Mr. Chairman. They would have to observe all of the restrictions of the overlay district. It will apply to anybody in that area, whether
Okay,
they're the
great.
initial developer or follow-up.
All right, that answers all my questions. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Ed. Why don't we move to Mr. Amico?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm all set. Thank you.
Thank you, Sal. Mrs. Penn?
I just sort of agree with Ed on the one thing that came up when I was looking at the papers was the garage issue, wanting to make sure that somehow or other that didn't get made into anything more than a simple garage.
Yeah, that would be a commercial garage with general automotive repair. This would just be a accessory mechanical work to a use there that has automobiles. So it couldn't be for public retail, service, repair. It would have to be associated with another use as a secondary accessory use.
What about auto body?
Well, Kathy, and maybe for clarification, I would assume, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, Frank, that if my car doesn't start in the morning, I'm able to call AAA and they could come there and start my car or
You got it, Louis.
jump my
Yes.
battery.
You got to
Okay.
hit it right on the head.
All
Right.
right.
And to Kathy's question, yeah, special garages, which are auto body shops, are not allowed.
I think that answers your question, Kathy.
Yep, but I would just like to say that I think the project will make other communities jealous. I think it's wonderful because it caters to children, doesn't necessarily cater to children, but there are so many activities for the youth in this development that I think it's wonderful.
Thank you, Kathy. Do you have any other questions, Kathy?
No, that's it.
Thank you very much. Mr. DeSimone, John?
Chairman, I'm all set.
Thank you, John. I think that's everyone except me. And I want to say that everyone in this project who's participating in this project, and a lot of it was done before I was chairman, has done a fantastic job. I think it captures the imagination of the administration, and the mayor and his team should be commended. As Kathy said, that the facility is such a mixed use that includes other amenities other than just housing, that it has retail and it has other services, and it does cater to the community. Everyone who's participated in this should be commended, and I'm in full support of the project. Are there any other questions? Does anybody else have any questions from the board? Would anyone else like to speak? Okay, I think that closes the public hearing, Frank. I think we can move on to the regular order of business.
Okay, special meeting. The first order of business is approval of previous meeting minutes.
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Make a motion.
Second.
And we have a second.
ordered.
Without objection,
Okay,
so ordered. Next order of business is we're going to move to a roll call vote on the overlay project. Is there any last words you'd like to say, Frank, or we can move right on this?
you can move right on. This item is a recommendation to the city council.
Okay.
We got the Riverfront Overlay District.
Could
So,
Could you read the motion?
well, I mean, if it was going to be favorably recommended, the motion would read that the planning board favorably recommends the Riverfront Overlay District to the city council.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to that extent. Do I have a
I'll make the
motion?
motion, Chairman.
Okay.
I'll
And
second it.
second by Kathy Penn. Who made the motion? Sal?
Sal,
Thank you. Okay, motion made and seconded. We'll move to a roll call.
Mr. Amico,
Yes.
Mr. Chirloni,
Yes.
Mr. Delvecchio. Did he leave us?
yep.
Mr. DeSimone?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. DeVoe?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni's absent. Mr. Yarmello is absent. Mr. O'Brien is absent. And Mrs. Penn?
Yes.
Yes. Very good.
So that's a 5-0 vote.
Yep, voted and so ordered, Mr. Chairman.
Voted and so ordered. Thank you. Is there any other business before the board, Frank?
There is not at this time, Mr. Chairman. I will let the board know that I have to get their signatures for both yourself and Mr. Amico as chairman and vice chairman to have your signatures recorded in land court and the registry of deeds. So I will,
Isn't that what I gave you yesterday?
yes, you signed it. I need the rest of the board to consent to it and signed it also, a majority of the board. So I'm gonna leave those, I'll email everybody, but those documents will be downstairs in City Hall where the screeners are, and I'll let them know that planning board members are coming in to sign them one by one. So I'll let you know when it's available down there and you can come in for signatures.
So now, Frank, you don't need my signature again then, right?
No, you're all set.
Okay.
So Frank, you need mine?
I need Mr. Amico's signature, and then I need at least 5 members of the board to consent to it.
I'll sign
If
it.
you're there
I'll go in.
tomorrow- Frank, if you're there tomorrow, stop by sometime tomorrow.
I won't be there tomorrow. I'll email you on Monday and let you know when it's going to be available down at that.
Frank,
Yes.
the signatures only can be the people that were present in voting today?
No,
It can be anybody,
No.
right?
that's right.
Okay, thanks.
So Frank, I'm gonna be in the office tomorrow, so if it's there, I can bring it downstairs if you want.
It's okay, Julie. Thank you
Okay.
anyway.
Okay, is there any other business, Frank?
That's it. No more
Okay,
further business.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion.
Mr. DeVoe makes a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. DeSimone, without objection. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman and
Good night.
members. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good night.
USA Women's Gymnastics, and in the end, Getter denied his alleged victims closure. Police say they found him dead at a rest stop off of an interstate near Lansing, Michigan. David, great Matt for reporting tonight. Matt, thank you. We're going to turn next tonight to the alarming warning on Capitol Hill today. The acting chief of the Capitol Police warning Congress about threats to attack President Biden's upcoming address to Congress, warning extremists want to, quote, blow up the Capitol. Rachel Scott on the Hill tonight.
Tonight, the stark new warning from the acting Capitol Police Chief